Hello everyone, welcome back to another Luma video. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at the Multiband Delay, which is a plugin that was introduced in December of 2022 and I hadn't heard about it until now. It's a really powerful plugin and FL Studio actually has a video on it that I'd recommend checking out. This video is going to be covering the plugin, how to use it, and my favorite things about it, but if you want a full overview of the plugin, go ahead and check that out. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to use the plugin as well as how to create a Plus strong instrument using Patcher with this plugin, as well as how to turn it into a granulator and a resonator. It can really be a lot of things, as well as a disperser. If you've ever used the Kilohertz plugin disperser, it's a really versatile plugin that can be used in a bunch of different situations. And let me just stop talking and get into the video. So what we have here is a 3x oscillator that we're going to be playing the note C5 on, and that's important, and I'll tell you a little bit why later. And then we have that going to track 9, which we have a multiband delay on. So let's first talk about what a multiband delay even is. Probably heard of the term multiband compressor, and if you're familiar with a multiband compressor, you'll know that it usually splits the EQ into 3 different sections which can be compressed independently of one another. Now what a delay does is similar to that, except what it does instead of compressing is it delays different bands of frequencies independently of each other. And you can see here we have them labeled 31, 47, 71, etc. all the way up to 19K. This is really cool because you can create some really interesting arpeggiating tones, as well as resonators, granulators, and other fun things like that. I'm going to go over the interface and then show you how to use it. When we take a look at this interface, we're met with a bunch of different buttons and knobs, and I'm going to tell you what they do. First of all, this interface right here is where you control the bands and how much they are delayed by. And you can do this in 3 different modes. One, you can control each band individually, so it's not going to change the other ones. The other one is a line, so you can draw a straight line. And then the third one here is curve mode. So as you can see, it's moving everything in proportion to each other, which is kind of cool if you want to get a very smooth curve. And then here we have the filter modes, which is the mode that is being used to cut out each band. Gentle and steep are going to cause phase interaction. If you take a look here, I'm going to play a C5 on 3x oscillator. Take a look at the oscilloscope. We get a pure sawtooth wave. And now if I go over to here and turn the mix up, we can see that the wave looks a lot different, and that's because of the phase interaction that's happening. To avoid that, what we can do is go and click linear phase. We get a completely dry signal. Next up, we have our scale. Our scale is going to change how much each of these bands influences the delay. So now that the scale is up, we can really hear that multiband delay kicking in. And this is how you make things like the disperser. A disperser basically takes the higher frequencies and plays them before the lower frequencies. So you get a kind of weird, I don't even know how to properly describe it, but if you hear disperser, you'll be like, yeah, that's disperser. And the way that you can kind of achieve that is by turning this to 0.1, and then we're gonna grab a line here and draw a line straight down. What's cool is you can also do the opposite. The scale is now turned to negative 100%, so it's doing the opposite of what a disperser would do and instead playing the lower frequencies first. On top of delay, we also have volume and pan, which can be edited via the same filter modes. Let's talk about these 2 buttons right here. Let's start off with the harmonic scale mode. When harmonic scale mode is engaged, the scale will default to the note C5, and that will mean that it basically turns into a resonator at the note C5. Now let's turn the feedback up so we can hear that sound. We can also change the scale, and we can also change each individual band. So if we want to resonate the higher frequencies at a higher semitone, we can do that. And if we want to resonate the lower frequencies at a lower semitone, we can do that as well. And we can also engage weighting mode. And weighting mode basically takes the higher frequencies and adds less decay to them in order to have more brightness to the sound. Let's take a look on how we can use it as a delay or a granulator of sorts. Originally, I actually found this plugin because I was trying to make a patcher to recreate Portal, and it actually works surprisingly well at creating a granular style effect. Let's go over to 3x oscillator and enable sine tone, and then take our envelope and make a little pluck sound. Now let's go over to here and then just create a little arpeggio. Go over to a multiband delay and add some delay to it. We can also do something similar to the pan. So we can quickly get something really pretty using just multiband delay and arpeggio with a sine tone. You can imagine what you can do by combining a bunch of these together. Now, before I show you exactly how to make the Car Plus Strong instrument, let's talk a little bit about what the rest of these things do here. So as you can see, there's 8 banks, and each bank can hold a separate preset like so. And I can actually morph in between them using this morph knob. Now what the smoothing time does is essentially smooths out the time between morphing, as well as the time between scale modulation if you're modulating the scale. But you might notice you can hear pitch changing whenever I modulate something like that. And to get away from that, to make sure that the pitch doesn't change, I can enable keep pitch. And I can hear there is no longer any pitch modulation. And I can also change the way that the multiband delay compresses / clips / distorts by changing between compressor, saturation, and clipper. I can use a high pass, and finally the mix, which is pretty self-explanatory. So now let's make our Car Plus Strong string instrument using the multiband delay. First thing we want to do is open up Patcher, and then in Patcher we're going to open up all the plugins that we need. The first thing we'll need is a generator that's capable of creating a noise pluck. This can be anything from Vital to Serum, literally anything. In this case, I'm going to use Serum just because that's what I'm familiar with. So disable oscillator A, enable noise, turn the noise up, turn the attack all the way down, and make a little pluck just like that. Next thing we want to do is go to generators and add a envelope generator, and we're going to add a keyboard controller. Now that we have these 3 things, we can add the effects. The first one is multiband delay, and the second one, we're just going to add an EQ. Now let's route our signal from Serum into the multiband delay, into the filter, and then to FL Studio. And then let's change this filter to a low pass filter, and then change our articulator 1 from our envelope generator to band 7 frequency. And we're going to turn this bass all the way up and then make a kind of plucky transient like this. Next thing we want to do is go to our keyboard controller, and we're going to activate the note. Make sure that you go and click Auto Map White plus Black, and this note is going to go into a formula controller. And in the formula controller, what we're going to write is parenthesis A divided by 4 plus 0.5 and compile. And now we're going to take our output and put that onto the scale. Now we're going to go into our multiband delay, drag all of these down, and then click the note icon here to turn it into harmonic mode. We're going to just hear white noise, so turn up the feedback, and then turn down the smoothing time. So now we have a Car Plus Strong string instrument, also known as physical modeling, an interesting and also difficult technique to understand. So if you actually created this with me, I'm proud of you. Good job. And if you didn't create it with me, that's okay. This will be available on my Patreon for download. So this is the basic instrument. I'm going to go ahead and save it. So some things that you can do with this instrument: you can go into the multiband delay, you can go to pan, turn this onto singular mode, and offset each band individually in order to make this instrument stereo. Cool little trick there. You can also turn on waiting mode, which will allow the sound to sustain for a lot longer. You can also change the different tones per band to get some really interesting sounds. So yeah, it's really cool. All we're doing is using white noise in order to create sound, which I think is pretty cool. So if you like this video, make sure to drop a like, comment if you want to see more tutorial style videos, and hit that subscribe button. Of course, it would make my day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.